Our beloved 8 playable characters will not be the stars of this video. In fact, it's time to shed some light on all of the other survivors from Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. It makes perfect sense why these characters are not in the spotlight, mainly because you can't even see them whilst playing. Some you meet in the middle of a campaign behind closed doors, others arrive in an escape vehicle. A couple of them are mentioned through dialogue.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Jimmy Gibbs Jr.
And finally, I'm also gonna count the names that are written on the walls across all campaigns except for the non-canon ones. And it would be great to also establish if those survivors are alive, missing in action, or dead during the events of Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Let's start off with the most recognizable out of the bunch. The church guy. Probably one of the most annoying characters in the whole game, who is responsible for not only ringing the loudest bell in the history of bells, but who also turns into one of 3 special infected, that being the boomer, smoker, or hunter once the safe house doors are unlocked. From the writings on the wall,
better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry, better.
This guy had a severe mental breakdown that probably was caused by the infection, but who really knows? And fun fact for the fans of Team Fortress 2, this character was voiced by Scout's voice actor, Nathan Vetterline.
I'm running circles around you!
As we will soon find out that he's not the only one out of that cast. Moving on to the Cola guy, or more formally known as Whitaker. He's a 60-year-old gun store owner who, in the midst of the outbreak, hoarded as many weapons and provisions as he could, safely barricaded himself from the infected. He grabbed everything except for his favorite cola and now doesn't want to leave the safety of his safe house. He's nice enough to let the survivors take any weapons from his store and is a man of his word since he clears up a passage once he gets his cola. His fate is unknown, but I like to think that he had the best chance at survival judging from these voice lines.
I barricaded myself on the roof with the provisions and guns enough to kill every zombie in the city 5 times over and eat well while I'm doing it. Cola and nuts is a weakness of mine, though I do not love it so much as I'd be fool enough to die and attempt to procure it.
He has plenty of supplies that will run out eventually, but he's not stupid to risk his life for some simple pleasures. That is, some cola and nuts. In most of the campaigns at the end, other survivors or military personnel arrive to rescue our playable cast via any mode of transport. From the very beginning of No Mercy, a News Chopper 5 pilot makes his presence known. He informs any and all survivors that there is a possible evacuation on top of the Mercy Hospital building, where anybody can contact him via radio. It's revealed that he had a little incident with the infected earlier and is most likely the reason why he turns into an infected after rescuing the Left 4 Dead crew. After that happens, Zoe shoots the pilot and the helicopter crashes, beginning the Crash Course campaign. His body can be seen up against the wall right next to the crash site. And same as the church guy, this character is also voiced by the same voice actor who gives life to Spy and Pyro by the name of Dennis Bateman.
May I make a suggestion? Run.
At the end of the Death Toll campaign, a married couple arrive at Riverside Park to save the survivors via boat. The boat owners are John and Amanda Slater, who rarely see eye to eye. It is unknown if they survived any longer after they parted with the survivors, but seeing as they both argued a lot, the overwhelming negativity and distrust would definitely lead to one of them making some stupid mistake that would cost both of their lives. John is voiced by John Patrick Lowry, who is known as the sniper from TF2, and his actual wife, Ellen McLean, who voiced the administrator, was cut from the game. After the survivors get to Newburgh's International Airport, they are greeted with a load of infected. Once they fight their way to the airport's runway, they meet up with the C-130 cargo plane pilot, who is too scared to leave the plane and refuel it. He tasks the survivors to refuel the plane, and in exchange, he would fly them out of the hot zone. What happens to him is pretty vague. In beta versions of the game at the start of Blood Harvest, Francis would comment on the fact that the C-130 pilot couldn't even fly a plane, implying that he probably crashed it and died in the process. The pilot is voiced by Gary Schwartz, who also voices the Heavy and Demo Man in Team Fortress 2.
Yo! Yes, yo! You are dead!
At the end of Blood Harvest, a platoon of soldiers that go by the name of Rescue 9 aim to rescue the survivors and get them to a safe zone. One of them arrives in an APC and they make a quick getaway. Their fate, from what we can gather from the game, is unknown, though judging from the Sacrifice comic, most if not all of the soldiers end up dead. Heading forward, we stumble upon the Left 4 Dead 2 crew. At the end of Dark Carnival, a helicopter pilot notices the pyrotechnics show of the Midnight Riders that was caused by the survivors. He shares the exact same character model as the Mercy Hospital pilot, and also shares quite the same fate, turning into an infected mid-flight and being put down by Nick.
I shot a zombie. He was a zombie, Ellis. He must have gotten bitten before he picked us up.
A character that helped the survivors in a whopping 3 campaigns is Virgil. He first appears at the end of Swamp Fever. He deliberately leaves a radio at a plantation for any survivors to come across and reach out for help. After he's done rescuing the crew, he makes them fetch some diesel for the boat in hard rain, and finally leaves them at a dock at the beginning of the parish to go search for more survivors. Taking notes from his voice lines, it's clear that he had a wife that passed away due to an infected bite. This also gives a hint that he might be immune to the green flu because he was in close proximity to an infected individual. His odds of surviving are pretty high since he has a boat and, well, the infected can't swim. But his good heart, trying to help other survivors, could be the end of him because there are plenty of sickos that only care to benefit themselves and leave everybody else for dead. And finally, out of the evacuation personnel, at the end of the parish, we have Rescue 7 and Papa Gator. The crew finds a radio that has 2 soldiers speaking over it, that being Rescue 7 and Papa Gator. The main takeaway from what they are talking about is one's concern about potential carriers and the other's reassurance that they are equipped to handle any threats revolving around that. Their fate is completely unknown, as most of us know that that's the ending of Left 4 Dead 2. These characters are not really characters since you can't interact with nor really see them, but logically thinking, someone has to be operating these vehicles. First up would be the military chopper leaving at the very beginning of Dead Center. How many people aboard that chopper? Who knows? But it's safe to assume that it would be pretty full because the evacuation was pretty early on in the outbreak. Next, in the passing second chapter, there is a chance of seeing a speeding Midnight Riders tour bus across the street. Assuming that the Midnight Riders are aboard that tour bus wouldn't be far-fetched. They might have gotten to Whispering Oaks, where their next concert was supposed to be held for some sort of evacuation, but more on them later. Finally, there's 2 fighter jets bombing the city of New Orleans in the parish. These pilots most likely are a part of Rescue 7's platoon, that are simply ordered to kill as many infected individuals as possible with precision strikes. There are only mentions of these characters, with a few exceptions, that our cast of survivors constantly talk about or only vaguely hint something about them. Let's come back to the Midnight Riders that were mentioned from before. From the posters that we can see throughout the Dark Carnival, there are 4 members of the Midnight Riders: Ox the Drummer, Smitty the Drinker, Jake the Lover, and finally Dusty the Brawler. Coach and Ellis are the only ones out of the whole group that know about the legendary status that these musicians hold.
Hey, the Midnight Riders! I used to love that band. Best pyrotechnics in the business.
Hey, check it out, man. That's the Midnight Riders.
Gotta reach for the top. Stay on the mountain.
Many writings on Safe Zone walls pay homage to the Riders because they think that the band died, but others are adamant that they are safe and sound, since some people saw them being evacuated probably by the same helicopter that saves the Left 4 Dead 2 crew at the end of the campaign. During Dead Center, Coach and Ellis keep mentioning Jimmy Gibbs Jr. During their brief visit to the mall, we could see posters plastered all over the place promoting to take a picture with him and his stock car. Sadly enough, there is a small chance every 15 days for him to spawn as an infected at the end of the campaign. There is a rare piece of dialogue when Rochelle hits low health.
Girl, you should have stayed with Jacob.
She mentions a guy named Jacob that is probably her friend, boyfriend maybe, or at least a co-worker. There is not much to go off of here, but her implying that she should have stayed with him means that she might have had an argument with him that turned sour, and she most likely left him behind. But that's unlike Rochelle. She's quite charming and really friendly, so that doesn't really make sense. A more simpler explanation would probably be that they just got separated.
I ever tell you about the time Keith and I made fireworks? I ever tell you about the time Keith tried to deep fry a turkey? I ever tell you about the time my buddy Keith drove his car off a cliff, broke both his legs?
Finally, we have Ellis's best friend, Keith. The amount of stories Ellis can tell about him across the game are mind-boggling. 3rd-degree burns on 95% of the body this, 3rd-degree burns on 90% of the body that, crying for over a year because of tear gas that was up all in his face, driving a car off a cliff which in turn breaks both of his legs, being stabbed in the back by some homeless guy at a graveyard, losing 2 fingers and a thumb to frostbite, being attacked by an alligator and tattooing "I'm a moron" on his forehead because of a dare, and that's barely scratching the surface of what Ellis has to say about his dear friend. This really begs the question, is Keith even real? I mean, the chances of surviving all of that are slim to none really. But even if by some miracle Keith is actually real and he endured all of these experiences, surviving a lethal outbreak would probably not even faze him. Here comes the part where it's just text on a wall and nothing else. You don't meet any of these graffiti survivors, but they are probably the ones that set up the safe houses for other survivors to rest and gather their bearings. Some graffitis are named, some are not, others mention a missing or dead group member. The ones that are not named, I will simply add an unknown instead of their name with a number that is in order, since I'm going to start off from No Mercy's beginning and finish at the Parish's end. The campaign and chapter will be on the top left, and also I will try my best to not count the same unknown twice, judging from their font and writing style. An SOS painted in white at the very beginning of the chapter. Who that is unclear, but judging from the dire need of help, that person is most likely dead. In the subway, we have 6 unknowns, that being the people who wrote "No cure," "None of you will survive," radios saying Fairfield has been quarantined, "Entire city is gone, if you can read this, leave," a crossed out evacuation notice simply saying "overrun" on the bottom, and finally a stick figure and skull in a red color. Their fate is anyone's guess. From this message, Keith is most likely missing in action, but Krista might still be alive. Jen and Aaron are maybe okay, but can't say the same for Sarah. In the sewer, we have 5 unknowns. The people who wrote, "Nobody's going to save us," "Nobody's coming to save us," "They are going to bomb the city," "Get out," "They can talk," "Not airborne," and Mercy Hospital. Their fate is also unknown. Heather is MIA, Rick and his mom are maybe alive, Helen Lane is also MIA, Will and his dad are probably alive, Andrew Hale, MIA, Danny and his friend are alive. 8 unknowns. The person who wrote "Mercy Hospital is overrun," and each unknown for every different number of zombies killed. Peter is MIA. Kate is alive. Kate's group is also okay. John is MIA. Sharon is alive. Sharon's group is alive. Domes is MIA. And Katie's probably dead because the infection could take longer, really depending on the person, and since she got bit once, she might not be as well prepared to survive. No named survivors are here except for Chicago Ted. The person who wrote "No it doesn't" 3 days is also probably the same person who doodled on the infection warning poster, except for the red stick figure. Chicago Ted could be a survivor or some character in a movie or show in their universe. All of these unknowns are probably alive, since they made it to the rooftop of Mercy Hospital, and the pilot did not only save the Left 4 Dead crew, but countless others. Unlike the other graffitis, these are not in a safe room. We've got 11 unknowns, 6 of them are maybe alive or not, but the 5 unknowns in this message are dead. Teresa, who's probably dead because of the cracked heart, and the Angels of Death that consist of Brenda, Jerry, Chris, Phil, Sean, Brock, and Jason are most likely alive because of their high kill count. Here I counted 15 unknowns, 10 here, 3 here. Peter is MIA, Peter's friend might still be out there. Susie is probably okay as well. Karen and her friend are alive. Jason is MIA. Finally, Allison is most likely dead because Jonathan is dead and she couldn't move past that. Somebody wrote this Bible verse, and Johnny died to friendly fire. Johnny's friend commemorated him in this drain. At the start of the chapter, I counted up 12 unknowns. Some guy, Claude Huggins, and the person who wrote this message might still be out there, but his children are dead. One more unknown wrote "Hell" on a road sign, so that also counts. Oh my god. In the church, we have a lot of names. Next to these names are dates, so it's safe to assume that all of these people are dead, except for those people who wrote the messages. We've got Garrett Rickey, Jamie Sewell, Addison plus Bowden, Katie Angel, Gary M. Taggart, Sarah M. Taggart, Phil Robb, Randy, Sheila, Rachel, Brian, James Peter Gates, Michael Booth, Daniel K. Rainey, Keith Huggins, Eris Strand, Julie Angels, Q Rubidge, Logan Van Booben, Nick Van Booben, Derek Van Booben, Allison, Cheryl, Rich Lord, Ariel Diaz, Someone's Mom and Dad, Thorsten Schurman, Zach Brashel, Bay Rate, Chris Chin, Matt Campbell, Jay Pinkerton, Ellie Smith and Cara Smith, Brian Lenenthal, Jay Lane, Greg Sherlin, Jim Murray, Steve Sampson, David Dalton, Jason Aw, Matika, Betsy Awal, Alice Vlachos, Nate, Adrian Finnell, Johan, Aki Yoon, Matt Wood, Karen Wood, Ellen R., Ellie Sealer, Alex Sealer, Edna Jones, Steven, Brian, Peach, Brandon Id, Ryan M. Taggart, Marshall Armenter, Jeep Barnett, Jason Pizarro, Dave Kircher, Sean Keegan, Alyssa Nakatrian, Matthew Russell, Tammy Russell, Bailey Nelson, Dina Nelson, Bryn Moslew, Nick, Bucky, Orissa, Ethan Maggiore, Steve Bond, Chet Filishek, Brenda Kennedy, Mark Nagel, Yvonne Simoncini, Becky Mcdolsky, Brianne, Alex, V, Carla Pacheco, Simon Tunat, Maya Magall, Rhiannon Divine, Mackie Walker, Carl Weenie, Devin Brom, Bill Duerfeld, P. Riller, Matt Nickerson, Ricardo Ariza, David Speyer, Kenesha Speyer, John Stelly, Aaron Hockley, Q. DeRoquez, Lars P. Jensvold, Arsenio Navarro, Augusta Butlin, Janet McHenry, Con Ewan, Sarah Brown, Mike Abender, Simon Clark, Chris Green, Susan Green, S. Lori Brown, Mark Bem, Wade Shin, Diana Wolpaw, Mike Durham, Penny the Dog, Jared Bennett, Tristan Redford, Hamish McKendrick, Jonathan Sutton, Kristen, Zach, Kyle, Logan, Steve, Kristen, Sophie, Dexter, Jinx, Colging, Krisha Coomer, Jan Bernier, Joe Demers, Kelly Thornton, and finally, Mark Richardson. For every writing on the wall counts another unknown survivor, so it adds up to around 98 unknown survivors. The church guy who wrote Better Safe Than Sorry 180 times, but we already discussed him. Outside of the church, there is a heart with fight written inside, so that counts up another unknown survivor. In this safe room, I counted up 11 unknowns. The names listed here are by the same people who wrote them as if they're trying to note down at what time they arrived here. We have Sarah and Marshall Werner, Keith McKenzie, David Barber, Matthew Hughes, and Richard Colning all may be alive. 2 more unknowns, probably dead because one of them is begging for food and another is contemplating his belief in God. Here I counted 12 unknowns. One is on the outside wall of the safe room. Another wrote a very small message next to these pictures writing about Vim and Katie Turner. Tyler wrote a message to Bonnie. He's probably alive, but Bonnie is most likely MIA. Here are 9 unknowns. Trevor, Mark, and Brianna are MIA, and the initials of C, L, and KP might still be out there. Another 9 unknowns. Outside of the safe room we can find the same messages about God being dead, so that could be the same person. Next to one of these messages, we can see a body, so it's safe to assume that this messenger is dead. 2 more unknowns and a M. Ashton who is dead. No names, just some more unknowns. Just 1 unknown here. 3 more unknowns over here. 6 unknowns. David is MIA, Barbara is fine, Bill's friend is MIA, Lori is most likely dead, Bill is alive. If Cass required help, that means she's probably dead. Cass's friend that wrote the message is probably okay, and Cass's friend of a friend who the message is written to is MIA. Hank is fine, but Hank's friend is MIA. Martin is MIA. Adam is probably okay. James is dead, but James's friend is alive. Travis is MIA. His kids and E are most likely alive. Howard is MIA. Howard's friend is all good. We have more info on Claude Huggins, the same guy who let his children die. He doesn't know about it and hopes that Molly Huggins, his wife most likely, has them with her. So instead of Claude's messenger, we have a name we can put instead. Dylan is MIA. His friend is alive. Donovan is MIA. Donovan's dad is dead. Donovan's sibling is okay. P is most likely dead, seeing that next to his message there is a drawing of a zombie getting shot. 6 more unknowns on this side, 1 of them is turning and is most likely dead. 5 more unknowns on this wall here. Marty has a date next to his name, so he's dead. Ray is MIA. Ray's friend is most likely dead since it's not safe in that area. We have 8 unknowns in the safe room here. Allison is MIA. Allison's friend is okay. Mark is also okay. Lars is MIA, Kat is alive, her mom and dad are dead. Lou F is dead, his friend might still be alive. Taki is dead, his friend is alive. Outside the safe room, we have 2 more unknowns. Here we see the return of the Angels of Death with an additional member, Jamie. We have the same Allison's friend that says that they are screwed, presumably together with Mark who has the boat, so they're dead. 2 unknowns on this side, Lisa is MIA, George and Elle are alive, Mull is MIA, Brock could still be alive. The unknown who sent out 4 people to scout ahead didn't return, so they are most likely dead. And we can add an additional 8 unknowns to the list. Finally, moving on to Left 4 Dead 2. Here we've got 4 more unknowns. Yet again, the markings are not in a safe room. These 3 messages I'm not going to count because they're clearly Easter eggs to other zombie media. 4 unknowns on this wall, and Crazy Dave seems to be pretty well armed, so he might still be alive. And finally, in this pool room, we've got Francine, who's probably alive, but her friend Roger is MIA. All of the messages in the bathroom stall appear distinct from one another, so I counted up another 33 unknowns with some names in between. I'm thinking that the messages next to these names are people who don't know them and are just written there as some sort of joke. We've got Teresa, Chad, Casey, and Jimmy K. Whether they're dead or not is a big question mark, to be honest. Mustachio does rule. Counted up another 21 unknowns here. Got 2 more unknowns there. Got a few messages in this safe room. 1 unknown on this wall. Napoleon Babin is MIA, and his enemy presumably is perhaps still alive. Jules is MIA, his friend RR might still be alive. 2 more unknowns on this wall, and Pavri Defont with Bella Fonette are dead except for their friend. Magnolia Goudry is also dead, but her friend is maybe alive. Clotilde, Luis, and Emmy LeBlanc are also dead. Their friend who wrote this message might still be out there. Amedre Blainhard is dead, but not his friend. Defiant Pop and Virgil Dugas are dead, but not their friend. Somebody's grandma is dead, but her grandchild is probably alive. On this part of the inside of this building, we have Clovis, Kevin, and Leon with what looks like a kill count. On another wall, we have Jenny and Remy, who are probably alive, but their friend is MIA. Gaston is MIA. His friend Kay is alive. Cornelius de Ruin is alive. Clary is MIA. Her friend PR is most likely alive. Elva Boutin is MIA. Lou B is alive. Jules is MIA. Day and Rosella are alive. And finally, we've got 2 more unknowns. 1 unknown here, 1 unknown over there, and 5 here. Ronnie Meacham is MIA. His friend and the group is alive. Diane is MIA. Diane's friend and Abel are alive. Ray and Jason are MIA. Ray's and Jason's friend and group are alive. 5 unknowns in the safe room. Jennifer V is MIA. Doug and his kids are alive. Anthony Ortiz Huma and his group are alive, but his friend here is MIA now. So is his brother and family. Matthias is MIA. Carolina is alive. Tom is MIA. Maya is alive. Lily is MIA. Noel is alive. Joel is MIA. Bronwyn, V and B are alive. Henrik is MIA. Jenny and her kids are alive. Jackson is MIA. His sisters, Dad and Kate are alive. Shane Phelps is MIA. Adele is alive. Nate is alive. His friend is MIA. Chad and Chelsea are alive. Ian is MIA. Mia is alive. Melanie K is MIA. Chet is alive. Tammy is MIA. Tammy's daughters, her mom and Matthew are alive. Anne Murray is MIA. Arsenio is alive. Jason is MIA. Katara and Melissa are alive. Alex, Louis are MIA. Oliver and Matt are alive. Steph B and her boys are MIA. Mike is alive. Outside of the safe room, we've got Daniela, who's MIA, and Mike, who is alive. Luke is MIA. Joe and Jacob are alive. Nick Boone is MIA. Matt and his girls are alive. Bailey is MIA. Bailey's mom and her group are alive. Max is MIA. The Shermans are alive. Sarah is MIA. Her kids and Charlie are alive. Amy is MIA. Grant is alive. Christy is MIA. Ricky is alive. Paul is MIA. Genrich girls and Kathy are alive. Ray Backman is alive. Mike is alive. Outside the safe room, we have 1 unknown. Inside, we've got 20 more unknowns, and Greg, who's MIA, and KP, who is alive. 6 unknowns here, 2 over there, with Patricia West probably dead. Over here, we have another unknown who tallied up his kills, but we can kill him in the game, so he's dead. 6 more unknowns there, and finally, 6 more over here.
I'm tired, boss.
And that seems to be all of the survivors from Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. If I missed some poor survivor, which I probably did, make sure to berate me in the comments below. And on that note, see you in the next one.
We're making it look easy.